Hi, fourth grade friends. My name is Mrs. Hoyer, and if you're unsure of who I am, I teach fourth grade at Harlan Elementary in Mount Pleasant. Today, what I thought I would do is I would teach you how to make a bird feeder out of just a couple things. First thing you're going to need is a pine cone. You're also going to need a little bit of peanut butter, and you're also going to need some bird seed. I also have a plate here in front of me because things could get a little messy here pretty soon, so I'm going to try to keep my mess to a plate. But you could also be doing this outside if you wanted to, maybe at your kitchen counter or your kitchen table. But things really could get messy, so just be prepared for that. One other thing that you might need is some string, or I'm using a pipe cleaner. You're going to want to grab something like that so that you can hang it in your tree outside, okay? Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out my pine cone, okay, and I think I'm going to use this one. And then what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to attach the string to the pine cone first. Like I said, things could get a little messy, and I think it would get really challenging for us to tie this onto the pine cone once we add some peanut butter and bird seed. So the first thing I want to do is I want to attach my pipe cleaner to my pine cone, okay, and you can just see here that I am just wrapping it around the top, making sure that it's on there pretty good and tight so that way it doesn't fall out of my tree, or the string or the pipe cleaner doesn't come detached from it, especially if I'm going to be hanging this outside, and we've had some storms and some wind lately, so I want to make sure that this stays on there good and tight. Once I have it attached to my pine cone, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little loop up here at the top so that I can attach it to my tree, okay, and I'm just going to have it straight, loop it around, and then twist. Okay, now again, this works really well with a pipe cleaner, but if you were using string, you would of course just tie little knots in it. Okay, and you might need some help from a parent for that. Alrighty. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add the peanut butter. Okay, and I'm using sun butter today. Alright, any peanut butter will do. The birds will not mind at all. All right, and then I'm going to use a plastic knife to spread the peanut butter on the pine cone. If you don't have a plastic knife, please make sure that you maybe find a butter knife at your house, or maybe a spoon, and make sure that you're being very safe so that you don't hurt yourself. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a good amount of this sun butter on my knife, and I'm going to start spreading it all over the pine cone. I personally think the more you use, the better, because pretty soon we're going to be adding some bird seed to this pine cone, and the only way that it'll stick to our pine cone is by this peanut butter. So the more peanut butter you have, the more bird seed you will be able to stick to this pine cone. Now, some of my students know that I really enjoy watching birds. I have several bird feeders hanging up in my backyard, which is part of the reason why I chose this craft to share with you today. So what I thought I would do is I thought I would share with you some facts about some of the birds that I've actually seen in my backyard so far this spring. One of them is the blue jay. You can recognize a blue jay because it is mostly blue. It will have some black and white, mostly in the tail or sometimes in the feathers, like on the tail feathers or the wings. You will most likely recognize it though because of its blue, mostly beautiful blue color. And blue jays are a symbol of curiosity and intelligence. And it's been said that if you see a blue jay in your yard, that means that you are safe and protected. Another one of my favorite birds that I just love, and I really think they come back every year. I always have a family of cardinals that show up, and I love cardinals. Now, if you like the St. Louis Cardinals, you already know what color they are. Cardinals are red, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful red color. They can be spotted pretty easily. But did you know that the male cardinal is actually the one that is all red? The female cardinal has a little bit of red on her chest area, like under her neck and beak, and then on the top of her head, but the rest of her body is actually a tan color. That was actually something new that I learned back when I was a teacher in Fairfield, Iowa. The Jefferson County Conservation Department taught me that, and I was pretty shocked by that. So I thought that was pretty interesting and maybe something that you didn't know also. The other one that I've seen in my yard, and I have never seen them in my yard until this year, is the American goldfinch. The goldfinch is a beautiful yellow color, and it's got black wings. And an interesting fact about the goldfinch is that the goldfinch is the state bird of Iowa. The last bird that I see all over the place, I've got tons and tons and tons of these in my yard. Robins, okay? The robins have the orangish, reddish, maybe a little tan colored chest, and then the rest of the body is pretty much like a gray. And if you're in your yard and you're searching for bird nests, which my kids love to do, if you were to peek inside without touching the nest, if you were to peek inside one and there are blue eggs, that is a pretty good indication that you have some robins in your yard, because robin eggs are, they can go from a very light blue, pale blue color to a very deep blue color. Robin eggs are blue. And something else that I know about robins is that the female is the bird that will incubate or keep the eggs warm while they are in the nest. And typically she will sit on the nest for about 12 to 14 days to keep those eggs nice and warm so that they can hatch and become little baby birds. Alrighty, I told you things were going to get a little bit messy. You can see my fingers are just completely covered in this peanut butter. All right, and it's also going to get a little bit heavy, which I guess is another really good reason why I made sure that string or pipe cleaner was holding on tight. Now you can see I've got this whole thing just completely covered. I even did my best to get the bottom. I ran out of peanut butter, but I did my best to get the bottom also covered. Now here's what I want to do next. This one is covered in peanut butter, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm actually going to pour my bird seed onto this plate, okay? And I think it works best if you hold your pine cone that's already covered, and you just roll it through your bird seed. If you didn't have a pine cone, or you couldn't find one outside in your yard anywhere, or if you've gone for walks anywhere and you weren't able to spot one, my family loves apples, so we always have apples in our fridge. If you also have some apples, you can actually use an apple instead of a pine cone. You could even eat some of the apple too, eat that skin off of the apple. The skin of an apple is actually the best part, and it offers the most, I guess, nutrition, or it's the most healthy part of the apple, if you didn't know that. It is true. But anyway, you could eat the skin off of the apple and then kind of leave the core, and then you could do the same thing. Cover the core in peanut butter, and maybe attach a string somehow. That might get a little tricky, but somehow get a string attached to it, and then do the same thing. Roll it in the seed, and there you go. Look at that. I'm going to try to get it as close as possible. Look at all that seed that's hanging there. This is going to be a really, really great snack for those birds in my yard. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I hope you guys take advantage and make yourself a little bird feeder for your yard. I will see you later.